Good morning, everybody, and thank you for attending today's Restaurant News Group 1, 11 o'clock meeting. We are a group of restaurant vendors, and we are here to help each other in our businesses and also to help restaurateurs who might have a question or a concern that has been bothering them. We are here to help. We've got hundreds of years of experience within this group. And if you'd like to reach us, please give us a call at 561-620-8888 or go to our website, trnusa.com. And if you'd like to see this meeting on YouTube, you can look us up on our YouTube page at Today's Restaurant. And for some reason, it comes up Today's Restaurant, but it's Today's Restaurant, and you could subscribe or give us a like. We'd appreciate that. This morning, I'm going to introduce our speaker, and then we'll go into our regular intro so that our speaker knows who we are. Our speaker today is Matt Kinsey with IT Fusion, and he is a cybersecurity expert who has protected businesses' networks from internal and external threats for the past 30 years. He looks younger than that. He is currently the Managing Director and Chief Information Security Officer of IT Fusion, with offices in Plantation and Coral Springs. Matt has worked in the IT department for companies such as Kinko's, Alamo, and National Car Rental, as well as Office Depot. Today, he's going to share the top 5 cyber risks for the restaurant industry, along with practical tips to mitigate those risks. So, Matt, just hang on, and I will have everybody introduce themselves quickly so you know who's in the group. And I want to thank Darren for the hookup to get you here today. We appreciate that, Darren. And I also want to welcome back Francisco for his second time. And we have a new person here today, Casey Klaus. I'm going to ask you just to hang a little bit and see what we do. Then I'll come back to you to ask you to do so you'll see what our intros are like.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So, Mr. Mulholland, why don't you start us off? Just give us a quick, so that we can get to a speaker.
Wow, I get to go first. So we'll get to the speaker. I want Kevin Anderson very shortly to tell you why he ended up working with SSC.
Okay, well, thanks, John. SSC Partners is a full-service restaurant consulting company. We are primarily focused on helping small to medium-sized restaurant groups with cost mitigation, and we've had great success in doing that. Why I like being a part of the company, because I'm absolutely shocked every day with how much money our clients are potentially spending with the different distributors and vendors that they do business with, and we are able to recapture enormous amounts of money on their behalf, in many cases helping them to survive through COVID and post-COVID. And so that's very fulfilling for me to be able to participate in helping those companies have great opportunities in the future.
And didn't you work for one of the clients and you liked the model so much you jumped on board?
I was a client, and I received an enormous benefit of having SSCP come into my company. And when I sold my interest in that organization post-COVID, I decided to participate in this partnership.
There's your testimonial for the day. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. John McCabe, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to be here. I enjoyed meeting John Bunn and John Marinick on NAFM a couple of weeks ago. I'm John McCabe with Carpigiani. We're a large manufacturer of frozen dessert equipment and pastry equipment. We're part of the Ali Group, but I be reached at 401-368-6406. Have a great day.
Hey, Darren Gull, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Darren Gall, Tracy.net. We are a communications consulting and solution provider. We take the aches and pains out of phone and internet services by being your interface between the carriers. So you don't have to go at it, call, get on hold with the customer. We help you guide through the maze of carrier offerings out there to find the right solution at a price within your budget. So anything telco, we're your team to go to. It's Tracy, TRACI.net, and you can reach us at 800-881-8899.
Thank you. Terry Lena.
Good morning, everyone. Terry Lena, Workwear Outfitters. We manufacture multiple lines of workwear from an apron to an FR garment, as well as footwear. You can reach me at 720-244-4972. And my email is terry.lena@wwof.com. Thank you.
Yeah, let's stay with the Terrys. Terry Appel, good morning.
In today's restaurant news, Terry, TRN Terry at AOL. What I do is handle the monthly lead reports, which is a massive, huge job. We give you Georgia or Florida, 2 separate reports that you would get by the 9th or 10th of the month. And you're going to get 40 to 70 brand new leads in Georgia, in Florida. This month it was almost 80. So we're very proud. We've got people working very hard to get these for you, to get owners' names, phone numbers, addresses, email addresses, where they're at in their stage of, did they just sign a lease? Did they just start the build? Are they in permitting stages? Whatever they're doing. And that goes out in an Excel spreadsheet so that you can separate it any way you want. Anybody that wants a sample, please email me, Terry, TERRI, at trnusa.com, or go to the website. It's there also. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Ron Weber, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Ron Weber, representing MindLab for a product, Silver Saver. Silver Saver is a device that sits over 32 and 44 gallon garbage bins for back of the house. It helps restaurants save money by avoiding them carelessly throwing away their silverware. I can be reached at 630-596-6527. My email is ron.weber@minelab.com, minelab.com. Thank you all.
Okay, Sal and Rochelle.
Hi, I'm Sal, and Rochelle's with me somewhere around here. And we are with Servi, and we make service faster for busy restaurants and bars by providing a QR menu that can also take the order and the payment and send the ticket directly to the kitchen and the bar. And we are helping restaurants with staffing shortages. So if you know any restaurants that are having trouble with staffing or staffing cost, let us know. We can help.
Okay, you want to add anything, Casey? Rochelle?
We are at Rochelle at Servi, 615-498-4363. And I think you have Sal's information.
Yes.
But I think Sal did great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Casey, why don't you tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're located?
Okay, so I'm Casey Klaus with SC Jetting, and we are a sewer and drain cleaning company. We do residential and commercial drain cleaning, but we specialize in kitchen, restaurant kitchen drains for either emergency service or maintenance. We offer a 1-year warranty, which is one of the best in the industry. And we are in Central Florida, and you can reach us at 863-458-3609, or my email at casey@scjetting.com.
Okay, thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Howard, when this is over, you're going to send us a list of everyone so we can reach out like you did last week.
I'm sorry, say again?
Yes, he does that in every meeting.
Yeah, I do that every week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, why don't you tell us who you are and what you do, because we can't see you.
Yeah, I know. I'm like incognito. My name is Pamela Hewitt, and I'm with Navitas Credit, and we're a direct lender that provides financing solutions to businesses. We're $800 million direct lender now, and my company loves restaurants and anything to do with hospitality. We'll finance down to $500. We have tons of like coffee machine company, you name it, across the industry, and we go up to millions of dollars. And one thing I think is key for this group is we're one of the only sources in the industry that will lend up to $35,000 to a brand new startup business. So if you have a restaurant and the owner has a good credit score, we'd like to be in this, I think 720. We can actually give them $35,000 for your equipment, or to buy for their new restaurant or whatever, and not in a 50% rate like some other companies. So I think that's really a perfect fit as y'all are out and about in the industry, thinking of those startups. It's very hard for them to get money, but we're there for them.
Okay.
I'm based out of St. Petersburg, Florida, and my number will be, because it's hard to write it down, I get it. My number will be on the sheet, and I appreciate the opportunity, Howard.
Okay, thanks for coming. Let's go to Francisco. Welcome back.
Good morning, Howard. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone's doing great. Great to see you again as well. Francisco from Cacao Son Chocolate. So we're a single origin chocolate. That means all of our cacao that we use to make our chocolate comes from a single place in the world. And that in itself is a premium, but we don't only use any cacao. We use Ecuadorian cacao, which is known to be among the best in the world. Only 5% of the cacao in the world is considered premium, and Ecuador produces over 60% of it. So chances are, if you haven't had Ecuadorian chocolate yet, you really haven't had premium cacao. So I always welcome you guys to write to me, and don't hesitate to ask me about the products we have, and I'll be happy to see if how we can help you. We do everything, obviously, regarding chocolate, the full line, white milk, dark chocolate, and many percentages. We use different sweeteners, obviously, aside from cane sugar, we use coconut sugar. We use also non-added sugar sweeteners, so it doesn't, it doesn't increase the glucose level in the blood for people that are going for sugar-free products. And we really have it all. We do have syrups, we do have different mixtures and so forth. So reach out to us if you need anything regarding chocolate or cacao. We'll be more than happy to help you out. My direct email is francisco@cacaoson.com, or sales, if you feel more comfortable than spelling Francisco, at cacaoson.com as well works. And my number is 954-655-2090, and our office line is 888-885-5596. All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Debbie Danto, good morning.
Good morning. Debbie Danto, Danto Builders. We are a general contractor and love to be involved in the design build project process from design through concept through completion. We love putting the team together, including John Marnick. He's always our first call when we have a restaurant. And then we get the architect together. We have an in-house engineering firm as well. We've been in the area for over 45 years. My husband has, actually. And we are very involved in the community. I am on the board of FRLA. And I had gone over the issues previously that's being brought to Tallahassee, and they remain consistent. I was just at a conference for hotels, actually, with FRLA, and they talked about the labor, of course, being a big issue, and you hear that among restaurants all the time as well. But other issues or positions to take, for example, making the liquor license more available to businesses, especially those who have been through the hurricane and need to get some more revenue. So if you're interested in that, you could visit FRLA and find out in detail all the issues. I do want to ask the question for the financing. does that cover commissary kitchens for, it's actually a religious practice, or it's called Unity Fort Lauderdale, and just wanted to see if that was covered for a commissary kitchen there, where they would be making it a revenue stream. And then also wanted to mention, I love chocolate, so if you have any samples, I'm happy to try.
Maybe we'll arrange an on-site meeting at his office.
Anytime, you're more than welcome.
So my latest news, though, on a personal note, I just got into New York Marathon, so I'll be running Chicago and New York this year.
Wow.
Exciting.
Okay, great. John Bunn, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome, Casey. You're a neighbor. I'm over in Lakeland. My name is John Bunn. I'm with the BH Bun Company. We manufacture the bun string tying machine. Several people have seen it in different types of applications, not just for bakery goods, but laundry, printed material, metal products, anything you think of, we tie and bundle. Interesting fact is of the end of 2019, early 2020, 1 in 4 delivery drivers, nearly 28 to 30% admit to eating the food they deliver. Our tying machines secure the boxes so they can't be tampered with. It's a tamper-proof system. I recently learned back in November at the pizza show, unfortunately, it has grown to 80% now admit to eating the food they deliver. It's ridiculous, but we got to do something to help them secure. As you can see on my backboard here, we secure delivery orders. Our website is www.buntyco.com. My email is info@buntyco.com. And my phone number is 800-222-BUN. We can tie anything that you need, from something as small as your finger to as big as, I don't know, almost pallet sizes. So we can handle it. It's with environment-friendly twines. Debbie, congratulations. John Marinick, it was great to see you at the NAFM show. John McCabe, great to see you there as well. Y'all have a great day.
Okay, thank you. Rob Smith, good morning.
Hey, good morning, everybody. As Howard said, my name is Rob Smith and I'm with TouchSuite, and I solve the labor shortages for small to mid-sized quick service restaurants by replacing human cashiers with the Samsung self-ordering kiosk you see behind me, powered with Grubber software. Self-ordering kiosks improve the customer experience. They increase the average ticket size and they increase order accuracy. I can be reached at 561-609-6405 or rsmith@touchsuite.com.
Thank you. And Rob is our in-house speaker next week. And if anybody wants to be scheduled to do that, let me know and I'll be happy to schedule you. John Marinick, good morning.
Good morning, John Marinick, Marinick Food Service Consultants. We design restaurants and anything with food. And John, that was one heck of a great spread they had there at the food show. That was really good. Thanks for having us.
Great to have you.
And John Bunn, that was really nice to go around the show with you. He knows a lot of people. I'm really impressed. It was pretty good.
It was fun. It was fun.
And
I got a couple
Debbie,
leads for you, John Bunn.
Debbie, as usual, we're doing a lot of stuff together. So that's always good to see you as well. So anyway, if you need a restaurant designed or anything like that, just let us know and we're ready to go. And yeah, we like chocolate too, by the way, Francisco. So and we do a lot of chocolate plants as well. So let us know. Thanks.
Francisco has a hard job. Poor Francisco selling chocolate.
Okay, did I miss anybody? No? Okay, anybody? I didn't miss anybody? Okay, anybody want to add anything before we turn it over to Matt?
Yeah, if I can, Howard. Debbie, you were talking about the labor issues and all that. I went to a manufacturers meeting here in Lakeland, and it was interesting to hear that one of the major problems that they're seeing out here is that with the retiring side of the baby boomers, And in order to keep and maintain our population, we need 2.5 children. We've been running at approximately 1.5 for over a decade. So it's not just everybody's retiring or people don't even want to work. You have those issues, but we don't have the population coming up to fill where all the baby boomers are retiring. I just
Right,
thought
and that's why they're really supporting immigration.
Yep.
And trying to funnel those people into trades and restaurant positions that are, and hotel positions that are desperately needed. That was one thing that they pointed out.
because the manufacturing sector is just hurting because there's nobody trained. They don't do it in high schools. They're starting to. And it's hard for everybody because they don't understand, because they don't have the basics that they used to learn in high school and along the way from parents and that, because everybody got away from using their hands on things. Everything's on a computer.
Right.
I just read an article about staffing, and a lot of the colleges are going to start offering 3-year degrees because they feel that you don't need a 4-year degree to do certain jobs. So a lot in the vocational area or in the technical area. So there's going to be a rush to get people into the workforce.
We're kind of blessed in this area here because in our Polk County school systems, there is a high school over at our airport called CFAA, Central Florida Aerospace Academy. Our son always wanted to be a builder. And so we had lower grades, little academies that were engineering based. This school is fully engineering based. You go to a regular high school, you may get 1 class, 2 classes they call engineering track. Our son went there freshman through senior, graduated with a 4.194. He's got certificates from AutoCAD, 2 different AutoCAD systems, drone masters, and got accepted immediately into FAU. Howard, as you know that, and some of the other guys in the group. But it's really a cool school because they teach, you can learn how to fly before you get your driver's license. You can actually get your A&P, which is airframe and power plant certificate, associates coming out of a senior in high school, making 75 to 100 grand. Yep. It's a great school. It's a little plug for them, I know, but hopefully more and more areas will start going back to the basics and teaching everybody at those levels, because that's truly what we need throughout manufacturing.
Right. And there's a lot of grants out for aviation here, and especially for women and minorities. There's a lot of grants and scholarships. We've got some great aviation programs too. And in high schools, I think this is common among most states, but if a young adult is in high school, then their certification for the trades is free. And then with the restaurant and hotel with FRLA, they have so many programs and grants and apprenticeship programs that if someone wants to get into that field, it's very supportive.
All right, I want to turn the floor over to Matt. And again, welcome. And you can share the screen. You're ready to go.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for the opportunity to speak to you about cybersecurity in the restaurant industry. We're going to go over the top 5 threats. Now, in reality, most of these threats apply to every other business, including yours. But we did because of the audience, we did focus on the restaurant industry. A little bit about me. I'm a former IT architect for Office Depot. I left there in 2007, just before they moved back into Boca Raton from Delray Beach. The master's in computer information systems. I am a cybersecurity expert. I've been doing this for a long time. And my mission is to protect South Florida businesses from cybercrime. And now that mission is to protect global businesses, because we do have a new service offering that's global in nature. A little bit about my company is what we do is we provide IT and network management. That's mostly local companies, but the other 3 areas, cybersecurity, client compliance, and virtual chief security officer, we can run from anywhere in the world. And so if that's a fractional chief security officer, that would come in and run a security and compliance program for an organization. So what are the top 5 risks for restaurants? And we're going to go into each of these in a little more depth. But briefly, They are hackers, or as I prefer to call them, cyber criminals. These are criminals who are after your money, after your client's money, and they break the law to do that. So these aren't the kid hackers that are just causing mischief. They're after your money, and they operate like large businesses. Point of sale malware, and this is prevalent in the restaurant industry and retail industry. So getting malware actually on the point of sale system. Ransomware, where they encrypt your data. Insider threats. So this is actually havoc being caused by your employees. And Wi-Fi security, particularly dangerous in the restaurant industry, making sure you have secure Wi-Fi. So hackers, why do they go after restaurants? One is restaurants tend to have weak security. It's a low margin business after you bring in labor, and they don't tend to invest in good security practices and good maintenance practices. So while they may maintain their kitchen equipment very well, hopefully they're not worried about their computers as much. So they often lack maintenance and patching. Business email compromise. This is a threat to every business out there, and getting funds redirected, especially builders are seeing this, banks are seeing this, where they're sending information, pretending to be the owner and saying, hey, I need you to change the account number to wire those funds to. And they target the point of sale. Why do they target the point of sale? Primarily because of credit card data. They want to capture credit card data as it's going through the system so that they can use that to further perpetuate fraud. Second area is POS malware. Again, like I said, they're targeting the data, especially the credit card data. One of the disadvantages of a point of sale system is because of the way it's used and because of the fact that the point of sale screen typically floats over everything else so that you can work it quickly, it's often not noticed for weeks or months. Sometimes they're in the system for 2 to 3 months. SolarWinds, they were in the system for almost 18 months before it was noticed. And that's because of where it sits. The other point of sale is the point of sale typically allows you to bypass the firewall because of where it sits in the network. So it's a trusted device on the network. So if we can get the trusted device to do something that we don't want it to do, then we've got more access to your network. The third area is ransomware. So what ransomware does, it typically starts with a phishing email and tries to get somebody to click on something in the email. It downloads a little program onto your computer and it starts encrypting all of the data on the computer. And then you get a little pop-up message that basically says, we own you and we want money from you to decrypt your systems. They're going to demand payment. In 2022, the average payment was over $250,000 on a paid ransomware. How many of you have $250,000 sitting in cash or in cyber insurance? How many restaurants do? This can take a restaurant completely out of business. And with what the statistics say is the average business that is breached, 60% fail within 6 months. Insider threats. Insider threats are often disgruntled employees. They were written up for something. They got a bad review from a customer and had a really nasty interaction with the customer because we know that the customer is not always right. Our job is to try to make them right. It's 50% of all threats. The other reason is they are targets. Restaurant servers are typically lower paid individuals. And there are cyber criminals who will come out there and offer a waiter $50,000, $25,000, $100,000 to insert a USB key into the point of sale system. And then once it's inserted, it goes and runs its data and they've got access. Think about a waiter who's making, $3 something an hour plus tips. $50,000 is more than a year's worth of salary for most of them. And that's very tempting and it's a very easy threat. So you have to have monitoring in place to watch for those. And very big in the industry is Wi-Fi security. Have you ever gone into a restaurant, sat down? We have free Wi-Fi. And you go and you connect and there's no password required. no authentication of any kind required. Those are open networks. And all of the data on those networks is accessible to every other device on that network. So somebody in the booth next to you could be intercepting your data. Even when they do put in security, they put in very weak security. They use old standards, or they've had the Wi-Fi up there for 7 or 8 years and they haven't kept it up to date. The most dangerous thing is what's called a rogue wireless device. This happens at airports as well, especially overseas. Somebody sets up a wireless device with the same credentials, the same SSID. That's what you see in your phone when you're trying to connect to a Wi-Fi network. It shows available networks. And what they're doing is they're intercepting the data, reading it, and then passing it on so that you don't even know. It's called a man in the middle. It's basically somebody in the middle who intercepts your data, copies it locally, and then passes it on. So you're not even aware that your transaction was compromised. So this happens in restaurants that have open networks and weak security and are monitoring for that. So before we move on to how we protect against that, I wanted to see if there are any questions about these types of attacks. I'm not seeing any hands up. I'm not hearing any. So we'll move on. So how do you protect from that? Well, we use the NIST cybersecurity framework. For those who aren't familiar with NIST, that's the National Institute of Standards and Technologies. It's a semi-government body of industry experts that creates technical frameworks and standards across multiple industries. So for example, the 802.11 Wi-Fi standards were defined and put into place by NIST, along with others. And so what NIST says, their cybersecurity framework, which nearly every compliance standard is based on, comes down to 5 components. First, we want to identify the risks. We want to know what they are. This is a manual process. This is also an information gathering process. We do exercises and we sit down and say, well, what if? What if that happens? You know, John Bunn, that's the same industry you do. Like, well, what if the guy eats the food? What are you going to do? How are you going to recover it? Now we can protect, detect, respond. It's the same type of thing. We've identified a risk. There are organizations like VirusTotal and AT&T Alien Vault that you can subscribe to, that we subscribe to, that help us identify those risks. So we know what we're looking for. The second thing is we want to protect. We want to protect from those risks that we've identified. Sometimes it's as simple as locking a door. What most cyber criminals are doing, they're lazy. And what I mean by that is they're like these kids who walk down the street and they go and they check your car door. And if it's locked, they move on to the next car. If it's unlocked, then they'll open your car and they'll rifle through and take anything of value. There's a next level up who will smash the window and grab stuff if they see something that's visible, but they're not going to smash the window and then start searching through the car. They're only going to see what's visible. So what we want to do is make things less visible and lock the doors so that you are less of a threat. Then we have to have tools that detect when somebody is trying to exploit these risks. So this is a lot of artificial intelligence and monitoring tools that are looking at the behavior on the computers, looking for things in email, like why is Howard logging in from Uzbekistan? You know, is he traveling to Uzbekistan? But at least it alerts us that somebody's logging into his email from somewhere where it's unusual for him to be. Once we identify that something's occurring, we have to respond to it. How do we stop it? Again, there are software tools for this, and then there are also policies and procedures that we put in place, an incident response plan that says, if this happens, here's how we step through it to protect yourselves and to recover. Ultimately, sometimes you have to recover, and that's backups. You have to have backups that are stored both locally and online, and they need to be tested on a regular basis. We test our backups on a daily basis, actually multiple times a day. We make sure that if we're backing up your system, we can actually boot that backup and get to a login screen. If we can get to a login screen, anything else we can recover if the software program's not running well. We also test a backup and do a full backup, once to twice a year, depending on the size of the company. And actually we'll do a test restore on new hardware to make sure everything comes back up. So you need to be able to identify all 5 areas and have solutions in place for all 5 areas of the NIST security framework. So let's get into some specific things that you can do. Many of these solutions do not require additional funds. Some of them will require an investment to protect yourself. So how do you protect from hackers? There we go. So one, for your weak security, you need to assess your technical and physical controls for networks and systems. I was in a restaurant recently and I went to the restroom, and on the wall between the men's and women's restroom was their network switch. If I'd had a network port plug, I could have plugged right into that and I'm on their network. And if they don't have the controls in place to identify that I don't belong on the network, I would have had complete access to everything. And once you have physical access, it's much easier. Your opportunity to create havoc is much greater. They often also lack maintenance. I've seen systems that have been online without rebooting for 3-4 months. There are patches that come out on a weekly basis from Microsoft and from other vendors. You need to patch your systems to make sure you've got the latest security protections in place. Business email compromise. You want to have multi-factor authentication. That's like when you go to the bank. You log into your bank account and it sends you a code on your phone. And you have to put that 6-digit code in to the system in order to completely get into your system. And email filtering. You want solutions that are looking for the typical things that are done to try to compromise your email and block those from getting into your inbox. The most important asset to secure in a restaurant is your point of sale. In a business, it's going to be your server and your owners and accountants, your CFO, your finance manager, their systems, because anyone who's got access to the financial systems, that's what they're looking for. POS malware. One of the most important things you can do is ensure that the user that logs onto the point of sale does not have any administrative control. Your administrative control should be a separate account that is only used when you need to do administration functions. But if you're just doing normal day-to-day operations, that user should have no additional privileges other than to run what they're allowed to run, what they need to run. You also want time or proximity-based logout. So time means after 5 minutes, the computer locks and someone has to log back in. You see a lot of restaurants who use magstripe cards or RFID cards for the servers to log into the point of sale. And those actually provide a record of who did what. So now you know that John was the one who went in and ran that transaction because he authenticated on the system in order to be able to enter the transaction. The last area is called application whitelisting. Most malware detection, what it does is it's looking for things that we know are bad. And it says, okay, if you're on this list of things we know are bad, we're not going to allow you to run. It's kind of like the guy who's got the, bounce checks on the back wall and says, if this guy shows up, don't take a check from him. Okay, because he's bouncing checks and he hasn't made them good. And what we prefer to do is what's called application whitelisting, where we say we know what's allowed to run on this machine. And if you're not on this list of what we know is good, we assume you're bad and we don't let you run without a review. This is one of the most important protections you can have. And cyber insurance policies now are actually starting to require this type of thing in order to get coverage. Ransomware. 3 items to do for ransomware is one, you want a next generation antivirus. The free AVG, the free Microsoft Defender doesn't cut it. You need something that not only looks for signatures, but also looks for behavior. So if you've heard the commercials for CrowdStrike, CrowdStrike is this type of solution. Sophos, Psylock, there are several of these that are this type of next generation antivirus that not only looks at signatures, but also looks at behavior using artificial intelligence. The next area is the application whitelisting, which we talked about before. So that way, even if somebody does get access and tries to run a program, we said, we don't know what that program is. We're not going to allow it to run. And the third area is a 24/7 security operations center that monitors the systems 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through automation and agents on your machine. Our center is in Dallas, Texas, and our data never leaves the United States. We do have customers that require that for compliance records. Insider threats. One of those is security awareness training. Are you forcing your employees to learn about how to identify phishing emails, about how to protect themselves, about using password management to put passwords in and not putting them in a drawer or under the bottom of the keyboard, because those are not secure. Not using the same password at every site, because if they get that password, then they're going to go try to log in everywhere you're at. We already talked about removing administrative access and the 24/7 monitoring. This can tell unusual behavior that's happening. Like, why is someone logging into Howard's account at 3:30 in the morning? Howard's never done that before. And now we can take a look and say, okay, somebody's up to something unusual and we can stop it. And then Wi-Fi security. Number one, most important thing is eliminate open networks. For your guest network at your office, use a password to get in. Change that on a regular basis. Don't allow an open network. Segregate your network traffic for your business from what you allow guests to get in, especially in restaurants. You know, the guest network that employees log into should be completely isolated and not allow any traffic to go forward between them. Use the latest encryption standards and login portals. And you want to do what's called rogue wireless device protection. And that's where we're monitoring to see if there's a rogue wireless device so we can find it and shut it down. This is similar to like a skimmer on a gas machine, on a gas pump. You know, there are tools you can use to look for that. Some of them are just visual. You see something like, what is that? Take a look. Why is that there? So those are some of the things you can do. There are some compliance standards that restaurants need to be aware of. And one of those is cybersecurity insurance. Well, what insurance does is just transfers some of the financial risk from the owner to the insurance company. And these are getting more difficult to qualify for because you have to do things well. So the cybersecurity insurance industry has decided they're sick of tired of paying claims. So they're requiring more actions on the part of business owners to protect the data. And if you don't meet those requirements, they'll deny the claim. But restaurants really need to look at cybersecurity insurance because of the risk of credit card processing. The big change that's coming in the industry is PCI DSS 4. So if you accept credit cards, you're required to meet PCI DSS 3 standards today. By March of 2024, PCI DSS 4.0 will be required for all businesses. It shifts more of the responsibility for fraud onto the merchant. It requires more cyber controls. What they're doing is they're taking these billion-dollar banks, getting tired of paying for fraud, pushing it down to these multi-million-dollar banks, who are now pushing it down to the merchants. There are fines if there's a breach and the business is not compliant. So if there's a breach, they're going to come in, they're going to examine your systems, they're going to look for your logs, they're going to look through what happened. And if you weren't meeting the requirements of PCI DSS 4, not only do you lose the money on the transaction, you can be fined for the cost of them to try to recover those funds. And it can be up to twice the amount of money that was breached, not just at your restaurant or your business, but wherever else those credit cards were used. So this could put a business out completely. And rogue wireless detection is required under PCI DSS 4. The only way to get around PCI DSS 4 is for there to be no ability for anyone in the business to enter a credit card into a transaction. It has to be completely hands-off. So if you're handing a terminal to a user, if your employees are taking the card and swiping it, if you are entering it into a website, you are required to follow PCI DSS4 as of March next year, or on any new contracts that are going forward. So how do you know where you stand? Well, one, I would recommend that anybody get a free level 1 ransomware readiness test. All this does is we run a little program and we'll run a report and tell you what your risks are. This is part of the identification phase of it. So you know what your risks are based on your current network environment. And we can do this for any business anywhere in the country. You can visit our website. That QR code will take you right to the form to fill out. You can email me or you can call our office. The number's on there. We just ask there's a 5 computer minimum because we can't get enough data if we don't run it on at least 5 computers. And there's absolutely no obligation if you want to do this. And if the worst thing you do is you hand it over to your current IT and go fix this, I'm okay with that, because at least you're going to be better positioned to protect your data. What are we looking for? Well, we're looking for restaurants that are multi-location restaurants that are locally owned. So franchises are not typically a good fit for us. They typically have a large IT department that handles these things, but locally owned restaurant groups that are in a fairly discrete area in South Florida would be great introductions for us. I want to see if there are any questions at the end of the presentation. This has been a quieter group than the previous one, but I got a feeling it's going to come out now that we're at the end of the presentation. And I'm going to go ahead, and if you want to get a screenshot, you can, but this slide deck, Howard's going to send a slide deck out to you later after the meeting, so you've got all my contact information. So I'm going to hit stop share so I can see everybody who's on, and just go ahead and raise your hand or your virtual hand if you have a question you'd like me to go over. I'm seeing a hand over there from Robert.
Helen, I have you on mute. Everybody's on mute, so everybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
I came in here a little late. I'm sorry, but I wanted to ask you, do you do the actually credit card processing and also the screening too, or what?
No, we do not do anything with credit card processing. We're an IT company.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're protecting your network so that you can get lower rates on your credit card processing and have less risk of credit card.
One of the things I wanted to ask you is, you know the signs of what's a scam out there, or whoever is trying to get into your information. But do you do any kind of educational lectures to people like myself, so we're on guard and we know what those markers are? So yeah.
One of the services we provide is security awareness training. And so that's courses that you can take through an online portal, as well as weekly tips to keep you up to date.
Right. Is there a cost for that, or?
Yeah, there's a cost for that. And if you send me, Howard's going to send out my information, send me an email, and I'd be glad to talk to you about that. It depends.
Okay,
it depends on the size of your company and how many people you know that you need access to. Will help us determine the cost.
Okay.
Now you show up, Jeff.
What do you mean now? I'm on the road. I'm not at my location normally.
I wanted you
Guess
to
why?
hear
Because I
Matt.
didn't get an invite.
I wanted you to hear Matt's presentation today. But the boy, Jeff is
You got it on
a
tape?
POS.
He never
company.
got his invite, Howard.
He's
I
on the
sent it
list.
to him just a few minutes ago.
You're on the list.
Are there
Your
any
emails are being diverted to the guy who hacked your machine, so he got it.
The man in the middle got it.
Jeff,
I'm in a room at the bank right now, yelling at them because all of my credit cards were used by someone else.
Again?
Well, you better talk to Matt.
Oh, you should have been here. Sorry.
I see John got his hand up. John?
Yeah. Just want to kind of explain a little things. I hate to say, but we got hit with ransomware back in 2019. We did everything right. We had all the security equipment, firewalls, everything. But what happened was We actually ended up buying a whole new appliance and spent well over $1,000. But the Microsoft server software had a hole in it. And it was supposed to end in December. They actually stopped security updates in March. And they were supposed to go through to the end of the year, and they didn't say a word to anybody. We got hacked into the same time Vero Beach and Lake City did. Thank goodness I had the foresight and we had the insurance that covered us on it. They didn't have all the compliances, but we were already well there, PCI compliant and everything else. But thank God for the insurance for sure, because it devastated us. I walked in one day and all my icons were gone on the computer, and it was the only time I was doing a major backup also through my PC to the server. They actually got in sometime on a Friday night or Saturday. They actually destroyed our backup tape that was still plugged in from Friday. I had some other things and other backups, so we were able to keep everything. Our manufacturing software had different extensions to the files, so they weren't able to get to that. But I lost probably 60,000 videos and photos of customers' products and different things that I use for sales, engineering files and everything. It was just absolutely devastating. We had to get a whole new server, all new PCs, because we couldn't trust the thing. So what Matt is saying is 100% correct. It's devastating.
Well, we
still
got it,
have insurance today to do it. And now we're doing, I can't tell you, it's like I do 3 different backups every night. We do a backup on the server. We're doing 2 different ones to do 2 different clouds. You can't back up enough. It's absolutely devastating. So if you don't do this, you need to. You need to get protected. I just can't say it enough. It was just unbelievable.
Well, my wife has been diligent enough to be calling just about everybody. And I am at the bank right now, and we're trying to, and we caught it in time. But the fact of the matter is, we were, it was done to us, and that's, you never expect it, even know that you prepare for it.
Yep. My wife and I went to Walmart one time, and her credit card at Walmart got hacked 3 times. So we go to our local credit union now, and every time we use our card, we turn it on, we shut it off as soon as we're done. So we can't get hacked. We even go to Publix on their weekend where they get gas cards. You get a $10 off. So you buy a $50 gas card for 50 or for 40 bucks. And whenever we take a trip and we don't know the area, we use those cards for the gas stations. That way we don't use our card. It's ridiculous in this world. We have to live this way. But guess what? We have to live this way.
Could I join his family?
Yeah. I was going to say the reference you made, Matt, that really hit home is the, loose car doors. People look for the easy path in, and in cybersecurity, that is definitely the case. Is it doesn't matter, how nice your car is. If your car's unlocked, they're going to get in and look through it. And the same thing in cybersecurity. You don't have to be a big company to need cybersecurity. It's the small companies that are the easier targets because they have the doors unlocked.
Absolutely. We found out how they got in. They got in because I opened up an email, because I open up so many emails all day long. You never know where it's coming from. And someone hacked into my computer because of it and then got everything.
And the training Matt's talking about is exactly that. I do that training myself. And each week you go through a little refresher video and then a quiz afterwards that you answer 4 questions, true or false, A, B, C, D, super easy question answers. But it's good to be reminded weekly of new things that are happening and things to look out for, such as how to identify a phishing email.
Yeah, well,
and Jeff, I would advise you to change your email. You have a very susceptible email.
Well, I'm in, what do you call it? From now on, I'm going to be doing all of my email out of Gmail.
That's what I do, and I'm never so far.
Well, yeah, but it's going to take time for everybody to know.
Sure, of course.
I mean, I've been at AOL since the mid 70s.
That's exactly why.
You had
that
hair
happened
then.
to me, and I switched over to Gmail, and I've been great. It's been great.
I didn't
Well-
even know AOL was still in business.
Yeah. I see
That's
Kevin,
okay. Push the knife in a little harder and turn it a little
That's right.
more
No, they
around.
just, it's just.
And you need to
twisting
change
it
your,
a little bit
and you
more.
need to change your password from Jeffrey123.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's no longer Jeffrey 123.
Well, now we know who hacked you.
Now I have different passwords for everything, and I'm getting too old to memorize all of these passwords.
You don't memorize them,
All
you
right,
write them
then.
down.
I saw Kevin had his hand up.
I do. Hey, Matt, I got two questions. Are you primarily doing business in Florida, or do you do outside of Florida?
Oh, I only do Florida, and I only do Southern Florida from Orlando south.
Okay, and how about you, Matt?
Okay, for me, IT management, we need a local presence.
Okay.
So I would need to find somebody locally, but for the security, compliance, and fractional security officer, they can be anywhere.
Okay,
Yeah, well,
the second question is, you're talking about serving the business community. Do you do personal? So for example, in my company, we have 4 partners and we don't have, you know, a brick and mortar environment. But obviously we're at risk on our personal laptops and so on. Do you do work?
I'm only one of 60 owners with CoCard. We have our main offices in Tennessee. So there are 60 different email addresses, and we Google each other all day long.
So Kevin, yeah, we need to take a look at it. We typically have a 5-person minimum because that's where it starts to make sense. But I'd be glad to take a look and see if it's a good fit for you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Let me just interrupt for 1 second, because I want to thank Matt for coming, and everybody, you know, for great questions. Matt, stick around, because I'm going to leave this window open. Just wish everybody have a good weekend. Stick around and talk to us after the meeting officially ends right now. Thank you.